Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I extend you a warm welcome to today's session. I sincerely hope all of you and your loved ones are doing the best of your health in such a testing times. So, before we get started with today's panel discussion, the topic of which is Cut the Weight 5 Steps to Speedy Customer Service, organized by Freshworks and ET Brand Equity, I will take a couple of minutes to set the context and then bring in our speakers to get the discussion rolling. Today, customer service should be at the center of every organization's growth strategy. More than 60% of consumers across APAC are trying new brands due to economic pressures, storage closing, and changing priorities. With these consumers going online in their search for better and safer ways to transact with businesses, the lines between sales and service are blurring definitely. To find out more on these lines, recently Freshworks analyzed 107 million support interactions, and it emerged that speed is the most important factor to improve customer satisfaction. In today's session, we aim to bring to you key insights from industry thought leaders on how your organization can improve the speed of customer service to drive growth. With that, I'm happy to say that today we have amongst us an interesting mixture of cross industry experts to share their viewpoints. Allow me the next couple of minutes to introduce to you all our esteemed speakers for the day. First, we have with us Abhyuday Rana, Director of Customer Success and Academy, an experienced professional with a demonstrated history of working in the internet industry. Mr. Rana is skilled in online engagement, general management, user activation and retention, business development, operations, international shipping, and training. Next, we have Mr. Jagmohan Singh Rishi, Associate Vice President, Learning and Digital Experiences, Wockhardt Limited. Mr. Rishi has over 20 years of global experience of organization and leadership development aligned to strategic corporate goals across diverse industries. Professionally, he has been associated with healthcare, FMCG, and engineering organizations. In his previous stint, he has been associated with leading organizations like Pfizer, Warner Lambert, and UCB, to name a few. Moving on, we have Shruti Garg, Head Customer Success Strategy, Magic Bricks. Ms. Garg has over 16 years of experience in BFSI, telecom, and now digital classifieds industry. She has experience of managing operations and customer services across both MNC and domestic organizations. In a previous stint, she has worked with American Express, Reliance, Telenor, to name a few. Next, we have Jalaj Gupta, Business Head, Commercial Business Vehicle, Mahindra Group. Mr. Gupta has 25 years of experience in sales and marketing performance, revenue, profit generation, and channel management. He's managing overall excellence in strategy. In fact, his specialties include excellence in strategy formulation, business planning and implementation, brand promotion, business acquisition, new market initiatives to maximize business profitability, to mention a few. Our next panelist is Vineet Puri, Co-Head Global Client Services and Niche Sales and Sourcing Leader, Civent. With over 20 years of success running all company operations, client services, and offshore delivery sites, Mr. Puri is the winner of several awards, including Allsbridge Award for Technology and Analytics, backed BPAS Solution, Gold Stevie Award for Best Customer Service Department, and Golden ACEF Customer Engagement Awards, Sawyer School of Management alumnus with a 9% scholarship. Last but definitely not the least, we have with us Karthik Rajaram, who shall also be today's session moderator. Mr. Rajaram is the Senior Director and Country Head, India Business at Freshworks, a SaaS-based business software provider and one of the fastest growing B2B SaaS companies, recently joining the Unicorn Club. Prior to Freshworks, he has held key strategic roles in companies like Microsoft, Salesforce, and most recently Akamai, where he has grown revenue manifold. He's based in Chennai, India. With that, I once again extend a warm welcome to all our panelists for the day. So without any further delay, I will now request Mr. Rajaram to take over as we look forward to an entailing discussion in the next 1 hour. With that, over to you, Mr. Rajaram.
Thank you, Baisakshi. Thanks a lot for setting the context. Hello all. Very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all our panelists and to our esteemed attendees as well. Like I said, my name is Karthik Rajaram and I'm the country head for Freshworks India, and I'm excited to be moderating this session today. I'm joined by a very esteemed panel of CX leaders and practitioners who are at the forefront of envisioning and executing on critical CX initiatives for their organizations. And the topic that we're going to be discussing for the next 40-45 minutes, and hopefully we have time for some questions from the audience as well, is the importance of speed in delivering a great customer experience and the steps that organizations and are taking and should to deliver on the promise of speed and agility, right? To set the context for this, what promises to be a very insightful discussion, we analyzed, like Baisakshi said, close to 100 million support transactions. And what emerged from that was that speed is an extremely critical success factor for improving CSAT scores, right? And while there is a recognition that speed is critical for customer service, we are seeing a ton of organizational roadblocks in making that a reality, right? When organizations design and formulate the customer journey from acquisition to advocacy, they spend a lot of time and effort on the sales and marketing aspect of it, but when it comes to customer service, there's not a lot of effort that goes in that leads to suboptimal effort, right? So with that, I want to kind of move on to Rana and kind of start off and understand from him. In organizations, what do you see, Rana, as a practitioner who's seen this in multiple organizations? Is this a challenge that you see a lot?
Hey, Karthik, thank you for the opportunity. Happy to be a part of this panel. Addressing your question around sales being at the forefront of things, that's human nature, right? To drive revenue, to get growth is the quintessential point of starting a business. And somewhere down the line, customer service takes a backseat. That's a trend. I think that's a uniform trend, but there are certain companies that are always customer obsessive. I think customer obsession is the word we are looking at, not customer centricity. I can talk about my experiences. I can talk about Unacademy. At Unacademy, we are super learner obsessive. Learners are the customers that we cater to. And in that journey, right, we are a very hardcore product led model, which basically means our sales are product led, our services are product led, our onboarding is product led. That's, I think, if the focus is on learners and you go really hard on your products, customer service just is like sort of a byproduct of it. That's what I can add, Karthik.
Wonderful, Rana. I think absolutely. And moving on to Jagmohan, want to understand, typically when we look at, and this is something that really piques my interest, is what goes on behind the scenes, right? Anything starts with a vision setting exercise, and that vision translates to strategy and then translates to key objectives and initiatives, right? So in your organization, when you look at customer experience, unique key differentiator, what goes on behind the scenes? How does the vision setting process happen? And more importantly, how is that cascaded to every employee in your organization to become customer obsessed?
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and great to see the esteemed panelists over here. And coming to the question, I think every organization, in every organization, we also have this strategy meeting and vision exercise. What are expectations particularly? And let me go, what we do is we follow the pyramid approach, bottom of the pyramid, middle of the pyramid, and top of the pyramid. So if we have those customers who are at the top of the pyramid, normally we call them key opinion leaders, and middle of the pyramid who are the key business leaders. We need to focus with those particular customers. And at the same time, what kind of customer experience is required? Because we do a lot of customer engagement activities, particularly educating the customers. I mean, just to help you out, we have two kinds of customers. One is the indirect customer, that is our doctors, and second is the patients. So that is where I'm talking about as of now for the doctors. And in case a continued medical education activity is happening, what kind of experience are we giving to the customer? When a doctor has an option of going A, B, C, D companies, they choose which company to go for, right? So similarly, we set up that we should be the most preferred organization for this kind of education. So that's kind of goals we set up, that if at the top of the pyramid, doctors or customers, we should be the preferred, company to be associated with. So we set up those kind of goals. We set up CSAT scores, kind of. I mean, there are other strategies also we follow, and that is a kind of thing. And we track it on a quarterly basis. That's just the way we track the sales score. But at the same time, sometimes during the run of the mill sales, these sometimes take backseat. But at the same time, these are very, very important parameters.
Wonderful, absolutely. I just want to move on to Vineet and Shruti next, right? I think everything starts with the customer, right? And one needs to have a very nuanced understanding of your customer, right, to do any kind of segmentation or persona exercise, right? So take us to how that happens in your organizations. How do you think through the customer journey, the various touch points and the interactions? How do you design for it? How do you optimize for it? Vineet, we'll go with you first, and then we'll take Shriti's views.
Sure, Karthik. Look, I think we look at it from two, or are design it from two different angles. One is the whole customer. First is that you bring the customer to the heart of how you're designing your process. And honestly speaking, I think a lot of companies talk about it, but truly building a company around the customer experience and delivering, like Rana said, being obsessed about your customers, that takes a lot of effort. Bring it to the forefront. It has to be, the vision of the founders and the top executives, and that shift takes a lot of time. So when we are doing our customer segmentation, and we're doing it from two angles. We've what we call understand the customer and then the customer journey. Not every customer requires the same sort of hand holding. So we've got our customers who are like our power users who need very little hand holding. They understand we're a product company. Totally, everything revolves around the product. So they are very, very well versed with our products. So they don't need that level of hand holding. So we basically define journeys, depending, and we give the customers the option of choosing the journey, but at the same time, we also enforce the journey on the customer. So we've got one set of customers who it doesn't really matter. You may not want, but we are going to give you a representative. This representative will understand what your vision is, why you're buying our product, what you want to do with the product. And this person will ensure that at least for your first set of adoption, knowing the product, using the product, we're going to handhold you. So we basically defined our customers in this one segment. We've defined our customers by journeys. So depending on the understanding of our product, depending on the complexity that you're trying to solve through our products, we will actually give you a certain type of treatment. So that's one way of ensuring that our customers are segmented. And of course, the other way would be by revenue. Right? You've got your platinum customers. You want to give them dedicated resources and all of that. And then you've got your customers who are just going to be a one-off, once in 2 years type of consumers. You want to give them a different sort of, their need is very different. So you kind of give them a different sort of support. And again, we design it by, we've got reactive and proactive support, and we're very, very heavy on proactive support. We appreciate that if we are able to onboard you properly, if we are able to get you to adopt the product, everything else will happen automatically. It'll lead to renewals, it'll lead to great experience, and the load on your reactive teams is going to be a lot lower. So those are the two ways that we would normally segment our customers and look at our customers, but it's very, very customer centric on what we propose to the customers and what we push to the customers.
Wonderful. Shriti, your thoughts on this?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So what I would completely go with what Vineet just mentioned right now. I would also like to add one more thing to what Vineet just said. I believe that customer service is not customer service like how it traditionally used to be. Customer service has absolutely evolved. It is no more customer service. It is more of client engagement, customer engagement, and hand holding. While I keep saying that very often to my team, I would like to kind of reiterate here. In today's time, it is not service, it is not sales. You have to keep compassion over commerce. You have to be more compassionate with people. You need to empathize with them. You need to empathize with your employees, your consumers, your people who use your product. And that's what, apparently will define our product. I keep saying that very, very regularly, and I'll repeat that today. While talking about service, it is not at one touch point that we create, or that one touch point and one interaction that we have. It is also about the overall customer's life cycle, that he has with us, with our product, with our people. And therefore, just like 4 P's of product, I think there are 4 E's of customer engagement, which is primarily empowering them, creating better engagement, giving them ease of access. They should be able to use you better. They should be able to know what to how to use you, and obviously evolve and educate them. I'm sure most of you will be surprised. We were doing a particular study, and we realized that 95% of our consumers don't even know 100% of our product features. And apparently that when which you rightly just mentioned, Karthik, there might be a lot of focus on sales, but sales is a transaction, after which service plays a very, very important role. And
Absolutely.
that cycle that you just mentioned about the customer life cycle, if your people are more engaged and they kind of hand holding your consumers well, voila, I mean, your retention is so much better. So I guess that's what I feel about it.
Very, very well articulated, Shruti. Absolutely. I think you just hit the nail on the head. Moving on to Jalaj, I want to understand from you in the context of customer feedback, right? How do you look at capturing customer feedback, and do you have certain frameworks in your organization to kind of capture it and optimize based on the feedback? How important is customer feedback in your organization? And of course, Mahindra Auto, this is super critical, but in that context, how do you capture customer feedback? What are the ways in which you do it, and how do you work towards optimizing it by the use of certain frameworks?
So thanks, Karthik. Firstly, thank you, everybody. And I hope all of you are doing well, you and your loved ones. Just a small context, Karthik, before I answer your question, that, our industry is the automobile industry. And more specifically, the business that I handle is trucks and buses. So, for us, the customer earns their livelihood, their daily bread by using our products. So the context of customer service, I can't overemphasize how important or extremely important it is from a customer perspective as well as from the organization perspective. Because if the customer's vehicle is off-road, if it is not working, means he's not earning, right? So it's almost a matter of life and death as far as the customer is concerned. So that's extremely important. So now coming to your specific question on the customer feedback part of it, I will say right from the product design part of it is where the customer feedback is important, right? So one is the feature improvement. You have something on the road and you keep on improving on it, both the hardware as well as the software part of it. But I'll say the good organizations, the great organizations are the ones who can design the product keeping in view the needs of the customer, right? What the customer is going to require 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line. Because if you see any product life cycle for any big, good automobile company, it is about 48 months, right? And can go up to even higher than that. So you have to anticipate what the customer's unstated needs are, or what the needs are going to be after 3 to 4 years, and then design the product. So that is on the product side of it. As far as the customer support or the after sales is concerned, there are various touch points that we have at the dealer end, on the website, on the call center, right? All these are the various things which you listen to the customer and then accumulate. The biggest challenge, let me tell you, for our organization or any organization, is how do you always keep your ear close to the ground and capture the right customer feedback? Because most of the time, what comes back to you is the filtered feedback, right? So that, I think, is a challenge which we face, which I think every organization faces. I'll stop here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think very well said. So Rana, I want to ask you, right, in the context of customer experience, what does speed and agility mean to an academy, right? And how do you measure speed? How do you measure improvements and optimizations on speed or agility?
We are all about speed. One of the tenets of an academy, one of the core values is speed over execution, right? We believe that we are a sports team. This is what we drill into our agents as well. We are a sports team. We are not a family. Every customer interaction that comes in needs to be responded to ASAP, right? And when we talk about speed, right, we often think about the time of picking up a call or the time to reply to a chat or to reply to an email. But what we often forget is that the quickest way to provide customer service is where there's no interaction involved, right? I'm talking about automations. I'm talking about help centers. I'm talking about FAQs. In fact, FAQs and help centers, I feel, are most underrated sources of providing support. Just to give you some data points, right? We've got a help and support page. A user lands on it. They see an FAQ section and they see a chat for this option. You would not believe it, 60% of folks ending at the FAQ section, and only 20% actually move on from FAQs to the chat, which basically means learners are self-motivated. They don't want your help. They want to be empowered, right? So how much are we empowering them? That is speed, right? We focused a lot on our FAQs We've curated tons of FAQs for self-help, and that not just reduces the interactions, so to speak, but also improves the speed of resolutions. Right now, we operate on a bot plus chat plus ticketing. Karthik, you're familiar with this. You're the clients. We're your clients, right? So we operate on bots. 60% of our queries actually flow into a live chat, but 35-40% get killed at bot level. These are the queries that are just general queries, right? How do I prepare for this exam? When does this exam start? Which educator is your best educator? For which I don't need an agent to tell them. My automations can tell them that. And at the end of the day, there are like 5% conversations that actually don't end up getting resolved at chat or bot or FAQs level, because this requires business interventions. This requires technical teams interventions. To improve speed of execution there, what we have done is, and I think this is something very unique I've seen at Unacademy, we've created group stations on ticketing tool within business teams, within technology team, right? What that does is, instead of a support team, which is operating in a silo, we bring everyone together. We make them responsible for their tickets SLAs. We make them responsible for their CSATs, right? And the feedbacks are that much faster. To avoid incoming interactions, these teams are more proactive in their approach to be giving us the right information that we need. These are some of the various ways. Speed is the most critical aspect. I think with even if the resolution to a customer is unfavorable, you and me would have seen that if the unfavorable resolution comes in fast, we are okay with it. If we are left hanging for like days, weeks, and get an unfavorable resolution, we escalate on Twitter, right? So that's the input from my side, Karthik.
Absolutely, Rana. Jagmohan, I want to move on to you, right? What's changed with this pandemic from a customer experience, strategy, execution standpoint? What's changed?
I think everybody will agree that it is all turned upside down, and the expectations of the customers have changed. The reach to the customers have changed. A lot of things have changed because of pandemic. Because of the pandemic, the customers are not ready to meet our representatives these days in the physical format, which was happening earlier. So we had a digital format in which we have been met. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I'll say it, our industry is a regulated industry, and we can't use social media to reach our customers. So that is where the biggest aspect was there. And all those physical meets which used to happen earlier, they have come to stand still. And now we are moving and depending on the digital meets nowadays. So that is led to it. Although our customers definitely still demand to be staying connected, but at the same time they are also very, very careful so that the virus should not pass to each other. Okay, so that is where they are very, very careful in that aspects. But at the same time, being in healthcare, the availability of the drugs have to be there at the counter. Availability of the kits have to be there. So those aspects have changed, and people are working in spite of this danger. So digital is helping us out in this particular pandemic time. So that is what has changed primarily, and even the customer expectations have changed a lot.
Absolutely. Shruti, what's happening at Magicbricks? How are you guys adapting to this new normal? How are things?
So Karthik, frankly, yes, pandemic has had a major impact in our industry as well. Well, to just throw some more light, as far as how industry apparently has been changing, there has been significant user shift, significant user demand shift that we've been observing. Apparently, I would say for example, all of us are working from home right now, but we are absolutely ignoring another section. While we're all working from home, we're also learning from home, we are entertaining from home, and everything else is happening from home. So therefore, obviously, there has been a major demand shift, and there has been a reasonable shift in people's expectations. We have observed that, somebody who was, say, expecting like a 2 BHK 1.5 years ago is expecting like a 3 BHK now, etc. So that is typically what has happened in the market. Having said that, at Magicbricks as well, while we are kind of collaborating with our advertisers and of course the end users who are the final product or who are the final people who purchase the property, there has been a shift in the way they are adopting to digital now. While I'm sure, a couple of years ago, maybe if Mr. Jagmohan wanted to buy a property, he would want to see the property, go to the physical site, do 20,000 different things before finally taking that buying decision. He would want to see 10 different sites. Today, the things have absolutely changed. Nobody really wants to meet people physically and don't want to go to, want to run helter-skelter. They want to sit at their home, experience what is possible within their homes, in the confinement of their homes. So obviously, all of these things have absolutely drastically changed. Even the community of advertisers. So if you have to talk about our advertisers, or the prime builders of the country, even the way they used to work a year and a half ago has absolutely changed. They have adopted digital the way nobody would have ever thought of. And this is one community where digital adoption is absolutely difficult. And the way digital adoption has happened now, I guess it has superseded like a 5-year pace. So I guess, of course, with all the wrong things and with all this, which has happened, but digital adoption in India has definitely accelerated, and it is going to stay the way it is. So I guess that's one thing which has been like a positive for us. And yes.
Wonderful. Shruti, I just want to stay with you. I think there is an audience question specifically about the 4 E's that you spoke about. Can you elaborate a little bit in the context of execution on that?
Yes. So while I was talking about 4 E's, so there are basically 4 E's or 4 principles that I call it for customer services. One is empowering, which means you should empower your consumers to be able to use you better. You should educate them, let them know how to use your product, empower them. While I guess Abhyudaya was talking about this, self-help desk has been overly, underrated. I guess tips and tools like self-help desk should be promoted more in our customer services environment. And like Rana clearly said that, not everybody would want to speak to an agent. I am tired of speaking to an agent. I would want a self-help tool to be able to kind of, solve my query. Obviously, so empowering is absolutely a must. Second, I said was engagement. Engagement has been like, we were talking a while ago, Karthik. Engagement has been, underrated again. We have only been talking of service from the standpoint of resolving a query or a request or a complaint. It is not about resolving a query or a request or a complaint anymore. It is about engaging. My consumer does not just want to be heard when he has a complaint. He might want to hear. He might want to get engaged with me on a different platform in different ways and means as well. So something like a thank you note might be more beneficial than telling him thank you so much. You raised a complaint. I will look forward to it. So that engagement is definitely needed. It can be for a larger, like Jagmohan said, like for a larger consumers and for larger different level of consumers, it can be managed in a different fashion versus a smaller consumer. Next was, of course, ease of access. When I'm saying ease of access, your consumer, your end user should know how can he really reach out to you. He should be able to reach out to you at 12 at night or 2 at night. I cannot tell my consumer, listen, I only work from 9 to 6, so please stay, and there is nothing which can be done beyond that time frame. We should be allowing that ease of access to people. Through phone, through mobile, through a call, through an SMS, everywhere. You should be easily accessible to your consumers. And obviously, and the last, which is most important and very close to me, is we should evolve. We should innovate. We should think, what my consumer would want, and we should. Internally within my team as well, we try and evolve something every quarter and quarter. We try and think what is the new thing that we can probably do to kind of engage and empower our, and create something fresh for our consumers on a very regular basis. I'm sure they also want diversity.
Absolutely. I think well said. We need one question and this is something that I wanted to come to, but it also seems to be a question from one of our attendees, right? So tying CX initiatives to business outcomes, right? While executives leadership is increasingly becoming aware of the competitive strategic differentiator that CX can bring in, right? Budgets are finite, bandwidth is finite, right? So to get a buy-in from, let's say, leadership or management on strategic key critical CX initiatives that you want to run in an organization, for instance, how do you go about that process? How do you tie it to key business outcomes and business metrics?
Sure. So even before I go there, Karthik, and I think we've alluded to it in different shape or manner, but just step back a little. I think what's happened is the importance of the customer service function has increased so much. It's not even funny, frankly speaking. I mean, we've been thinking that it is probably on the side, sales is more important, CS is not. But I have dealt with processes where we've had 1 million to 12 million transactions which are handled by the customer service department. Can you imagine the number of touch points this group is handling versus what a sales team can handle? It's just impossible to not look at your CS team as the most important team today. Also, because the customer has the power of social media, right? Couple of years back, you didn't do it right for, say, Jagmohan, and Jagmohan is going to complain to 4 people in the family and 2 of his friends. Honestly, if I was Mahindra, do you think I care about it? Okay, 6 people, maybe none of them are my potential customers. I don't care, right? Today, you don't please Jagmohan. Jagmohan is going to be the first person, Twitter, oh, he's got 10,000 followers. The world knows somebody screwed up. And who's screwing up? It's not the sales team. It is the CS team. So suddenly, CS, which was another good to have function, has become the core function even for product companies. Can you imagine? Like a product company, who cares? Yeah, number one thing that is important for a product company is the product. Well, really, yes, it is. But the number one, which is also equally important now, is CS. And why I'm giving you this context is because this automatically makes any decision or getting the buy-in from the C level very easy. All you have to tell them is, okay, look, you know what? 1 million touch points are getting screwed. 20,000 of our customers are going to get impacted because we're not going to do this right. So do you want me to do this or not? I like what Rana was saying, because really speed is not after they've contacted us. Today's customers' mindset and the needs have evolved. At a point in time, they wanted humans to solve their queries. Then they wanted technology. I tell my team, we want technology-enabled humans. It's crazy. It's like wearable technology, right? Like the CRM that we are talking of. It's just a part of that rep who's actually handling the call. So with that, for me at least, it's become very easy to tell my business leaders, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And here is the reason. And generally, I don't see a pushback. You just have to bring the customer back into the focal point and explain, if we don't do this, so many of our customers are going to be impacted.
Absolutely.
We're not going to see the renewals. We're going to see social media impacted. Do we want that, or do we just want to do what is right for the customer? So I'm saying the biggest and the smallest companies and the startups have realized the power of customer experience, customer service teams, and they have just become so much more important. I was reading a paper by Deloitte, and Deloitte is saying it's becoming more important than CS, than sales. And you've got so many people who are actually selling for you. It's just that one has to be mindful of how this sales happen. You don't want, like a telecom provider, hey, I also have this, and you start selling that. That's not what your CS team is meant to do. Your CS team is meant to delight the customer, enhance the experience by promoting the right product for the customer, which is supported by technology. So the CRM, ideally, like in our case, the CRM would tell our rep that, hey, you know what, this person has already bought these 3 products. They are already getting this. If you actually propose business intelligence, these 4 sets of dashboards, this is going to make a lot of sense. So that is the type of selling. This is your original question, right? This is where you started. That's the type of sales function the CS department is becoming, but it is driving experience. It is not driving revenue alone. So
Absolutely.
When you bring this pitch in to the boardroom, getting the dollars that you need to be able to do the transformation, to be able to add technology, to be able to add another software, it's very easy. But that's the context that you need to continuously talk about. At least that's what's worked for me.
No, absolutely. Very wonderfully put, Amit. Jalaj, I want to get your take on this specific point. Do you think companies like, let's say, new age companies like an Unacademy, right, are at an advantage to probably an organization like Mahindra Auto, right, where there is probably a lot of legacy to grapple with? So if you want to move quickly and bring in certain initiatives, is there legacy, is there regulation, and Jagmohan can come in and add as well, which kind of hinders or is an obstacle to the agility and speed that you want to bring into driving some of the initiatives in the organizations?
I'll take a step back and I'll partially also try to answer the previous question which you asked, right, about the matrix. So, every organization has called something called a brand purpose, right? What is it that you stand for? What is the lighthouse, right? We all have our quarterly targets, our yearly targets, but what is that broad direction in which the organization will move? So for Mahindra Truck and Bus business, which I handle, our brand purpose is that we guarantee prosperity. So these three words is our brand purpose. We guarantee prosperity. And again, at the cost of repetition, I will say that when we say we guarantee prosperity, it's for whom? It's for the customer, right? And what do we mean by prosperity? That we will ensure that your truck, no matter what, over a life cycle of the time of the product, right, will be ensured that is in a good running condition, giving you prosperity. Now, coming back to your question of uh, whether it is Unacademy or there are many other organizations, the new age, right? So organization like Mahindra or any typical, as mentally we would say the old age houses, right? You will always associate that they will have some legacy issues attached with them. My answer is no. My answer is when you change the brand purpose of the organization, right? And when you start from that level, when a customer experience sits on the goal sheet of the business head, right? Then no longer. Then various organizations, whether it is Unacademy or others, they become, means or catalyst to achieve the end that you have already defined for, right? So it all depends on what's that purpose statement that you have put out for your organization, and then how are you going to achieve that, in what time frame, can vary from different organization to organization. So I'll just take one more minute and give you an example that most of the time for our automobile industry, you will associate customer service or customer engagement, right, as something called a breakdown maintenance, right, which is what most of us Indians do, that we will go to a dentist only when we have some problem in our tooth, right? But that is where the concept of preventive maintenance also comes in. So in all our vehicles that today we sell, right, there is a device which is called IMAX, which tells a customer when is it the time for him to go to service. It tells the operator or the owner that if the driver is driving harshly, is the fuel usage which is happening, it is happening on time. It tells us that if there is an online flashing of the engine that needs to be done, you can do it sitting in Chakan. So a truck is plying in Dimapur, but we can do that flashing sitting here in Pune. So these are some of the proactive or the preventive maintenance. So another important aspect of the customer service, in my view, is the proactive or the preventive aspect that the organization must need to do, because I don't think so we can ever have that kind of scale to cater to each and every breakdown that happens at the customer end.
Absolutely. I think beautifully put. Beautifully put. Jagmohan, your views, I'm keen to get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think Jalaj answered it very well with respect to brand purpose. My answer to this question is yes as well as no. It all depends upon the leader sitting at the top. If he or she is having a startup mentality, the possibility of operating like Unacademy is much higher. But if a person is sitting on the laurels of the past, that nothing can happen to us. I mean, I've written a book on this particular topic only. Are you a digital dinosaur? And it is primarily targeted towards corporates who are having very safe margins of 40 to 50% margins, and they don't want to change. Incidentally, luckily or unluckily, COVID has given a kick in the butt to them, and they are forced to change. So that is where my answer is that it depends upon the person sitting at the top and what kind of growth mindset or fixed mindset that person is having. In fact, just I covered one more part over. I'll take 1 more minute over here. That typically in our hospitals or in pharmaceutical, the way Shruti mentioned about E4E framework, we use 5E framework for improving patient centricity. Okay, the 5E framework is quickly, I'll run through it, is ease of operation, environment, empathy, efficiency, and of course, engagement. Now, ease of operation is, how comfortably you can reach the doctor or the nurse or the cleanliness or the ambience of the, that particular hospital. Then second is the environment, caring, relaxing, hygienic. When I'm entering in the hospital, is it caring? I mean, do I feel that, I feel belonged, or I can feel that I'm safe over here. Then there is an empathy part also. If I don't wish anybody ever gone to the hospital, but I recently visited a hospital which was not in Bombay, but here, and I had to waste almost half a day for billing part. Transparency in billing, that is where the empathy comes. Okay, respect while billing also. What kind of respect are you giving? And timely communication. That is about empathy. Then of course efficiency, less waiting time, and of course collaborated care. And finally engagement through the follow-ups by the hospital staff, and so this 5E framework helps us to get the right kind of feedback from our customers also, whether we are on the right track or not. So that is how.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rana, I want to kind of circle back to you, right? What complexity, what roadblocks do you see in driving towards your customer success, customer experience goals? Is it the complexity of India as a market itself, right? There's just so much heterogeneity. There are different languages spoken. And when you talk about personalization at scale and personalization with agility and speed, what are typically the roadblocks that you see, and how are you working through some of those aspects in your organization?
So Karthik, I think there are two aspects to it, right? That adds to the complexity. One is, who are your customers? Second, what part of an organization are you in? What's the organization psyche? How do they think, or how do they process information that comes in from customers, right? I would talk about customers first. I think somebody had just asked this question in the Q&A, which I chuckled when I read. It said, how do we convince customers when they are wrong, right? What's the right way to do? What's the right way to go about it? That reflects a lot in the customers, about the customer psyche. Unfortunately, there's no right way to say that you are wrong when it comes to customers, right? You need to have a specialist team, a specially trained team that can do this tactfully, right? And when we talk about customers, right, who are the customers that your organization is catering to matters the most? Do you understand them? And how do you understand them? You might say surveys, you might say NPS forms, right? I say all that is that comes second to what you already have. What we already have is the data, that the gold mine of data that customer support already is, because customer support captures sentiments of customers almost instantaneously, almost real time. How they're feeling about a product, about a service, about a new launch. What are their sentiments? But unfortunately, that remains in silo. More often than not, like Shruti was mentioning, typically customer service was just seen as a cost center. It was seen as a place where customers come and complain, right? But that's not the case anymore. That brings me to the second bit. Which part of the organization are you in? Right? How does your organization perceive customers? Are they customer obsessed? Yes or no? Right? And even if they're not, as a customer experience head, you can drive these changes slowly and steadily within by showcasing the value of data that we already have. The customer support team can present real-time live dashboards, showcase these to various teams. If there's a new launch, show them how the customers are perceiving them. These would be perceived as small wins within the company. And obviously because the decision making just does not solely lie with the support team, right? So there are decision makers spread out generally in organization. Like you said, bigger problem. This is a bigger problem in Mahindra & Mahindra or Wockhardt, right? Where the organizations are mammoth. So how do we prevent those roadblocks? How do we improve our speed of execution by making sure these decision makers are prompt to act? Like I said, one of the key ways we have done it here is make them owners of customer satisfaction, make them owners of customer interactions, right? So these are some of the bottlenecks that I see in terms of adoption of customer experience or growing customer experience of an organization, but also some suggested solutions, like mentioned.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rana, for that. We typically work with our company works with a lot of customer success and support and service organizations, right? And we've essentially outlined 5 steps that organizations can look at to improve their speed, which is, one is make your service accessible, then go automation first, then shift from a reactive to a proactive approach, empower your agents to do more, and then relook at your metrics to put more focus on the customer, right? So these are essentially points that we kind of discussed during the course of this discussion. And are there things that specifically resonates with you that you want to kind of call out and talk about?
Totally, Karthik. Totally, all of them actually. Look, I have, when I talk about customer service, I talk about the customer service loop. It starts with the ease of contacting. That's what we're talking about, right? Or I think at least Shruti mentioned that when the customer today wants to be able to get in touch with you the way they want to be able to get in touch with you. It doesn't matter. They want to get in touch with you on phone, on email, on chat, on your portal, or they want to call you. So you have to be able to give them that first piece, which is ease of contacting. And then it's the agility of response. And like Rana mentioned, agility of response is really not starting at how quickly did you pick up the phone? How quickly, when you got a portal request, how quickly did you respond to it? How quickly did you attend to the chat? It starts with ease of contacting, right? Self-service, community, the FAQs and all of that. So that is the agility. And then it goes to resolution. Great, I was able to reach out to you the way I wanted to. I got a response very, very quickly. You guys are great, but it doesn't help if you're not resolving my problem. Ultimately, it's about, did I get the right resolution? And then it goes to experience. So, well, you did resolve it, but it was so painful that, I got bounced between 4 teams and all of that. No, it has to be that experience needs to matter. You need to own it. You need to deliver it. You need to be empathetic, be passionate about it. And then all of this needs to be fed into your business intelligence sort of reports and dashboards, which is going to lead to preventive. So you already know that the customer is engaging with you, with your products at a particular point. The obvious next 3 steps are going to be these. And basis the amount of data that all of our companies today have, we already know these are the next 3 sets of problems. So proactively, can we offer them solutions on the same interaction? Can we prevent it? Can we reach out to them? Can we tell them, hey, this is what's going to happen? I think that, but that's my, CS loop, which I really religiously kind of work on when I have to improve a CS function. But everything that you mentioned, the 5 steps, they absolutely resonate. That's about how quickly you get to it, and that's how you actually solve the customer's problem. So I think very, very nicely captured, Karthik. Can't add to that.
Thank you. I think a lot of times when we talk to organizations, right, there are a lot of things one can do, right? There's a lot of initiatives that an organization can embark on to improve customer service or customer experience, right? So it becomes a question of prioritization, right? So how do you prioritize? Like, is there a framework that you would use or recommend to know that, okay, these are things that you need to do first and then move on to this and then evolve as you go forward?
See, like I said earlier as well, Karthik, it is always, at least what I feel is always compassion over commerce. Therefore, while you are evaluating your priority list, one, of course, like one of our panelists also mentioned, you need to be able to classify your clients, and you should be able to kind of classify them well, and should be able to understand. And I'm sure in most of the businesses, especially most of the businesses, you have observed that 80-20 kind of a pattern where, your 20% of the consumer, your clients are giving you 80% of the business. So that is, of course, one of the parameters, one of the ways to prioritize. There are other multiple ways that you can obviously prioritize, and there are ways that every business will work around. Having said that, if you have to ask me, I think yes, you need to prioritize. It should be able to identify what are the most common issues, most common complaints, most common requests, most common queries that are coming through. Try and automate a couple of solutions. Try and create simple self-help tools. Try and create, in fact, one of the questions I saw just a while ago on the Q&A panel as well, where somebody mentioned how to kind of reach out to the rural audience. Today's time, well, I'm sure like Rana and me are sitting on urban population, and we are thinking that how to address urban population. There is a different set of population, which is the rural population, and none of us really think about it. They might be very small contributors in your overall, in your overall scheme of things. But then that is a very important audience. We need to be able to find out how to kind of resolve those queries and create help create solutions for them. So I guess you need to prioritize. Every industry works differently. Everybody has their own set of priority issues, and then it is everyone does it their own fashion, I think.
Absolutely. Jalaj, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, from a prioritization standpoint, like if there are certain things that you would want to embark on, like how would you think through this whole process of ensuring these things are non-negotiables needs to get done first and then move on to these things?
So I just want to, in this entire thing, just want to flag off two things. Okay.
Jalaj, can I
One,
just interrupt you before that? I'm sorry. There's one comment who said you sound like MS Dhoni. I should let you know that. Please go ahead.
I responded to him, said that I wish I could lead also that well. So,
Yes. Go
okay.
on.
So the 2 points I want to flag off is, one is that, as organization, we should ensure that we are able to walk the talk. Many of the times, we overcommit and under deliver. Now, which is not to say that we should under deliver and under commit and over deliver, but we should ensure that whatever we do a very good job of the same, right? And we do it thoroughly. So that is one part that I just want to flag out, which for me will always stand out for priority, which is to say, do less, but whatever you do, okay, you do it well and you do it end to end. So just to give you an example, in Mahindra, there are some things that we give as a guarantee to the customer. So the guarantee is that if your truck is going on a highway and you get a breakdown and you then call our call center, if the breakdown assistance does not reaches you within 2 hours of wherever you are on the golden quadrilateral and on the highways, right, we will pay you the money back. Now, can you imagine the infrastructure or the support system which will go to create this guarantee? Now, this guarantee is not offered for 1 quarter or 1 year. This is a guarantee that if we have given, it will stay long till the time that it is redundant or the customer no longer has any value for it. So my first point would be that whatever in the spirit of outdoing each other, let the customer service promise not become another selling tool. We have to walk the talk in that sense of the customer service. That's the first point. And the second point is, having put up a customer promise upfront, what are we doing to change the organization and the organizational processes on the back end, right? So we may have told the customer something, but what are we doing at the back end? I'll just take one specific example. So, we have our machines, we have construction equipment which do the work at the offsite locations. So there are mines in Karnataka or Northeast whereby their machines are operating. Up till now, we used to measure the mean time to restore. Means a machine has broken down. What is the mean time the organization has taken to restore those machines? This year onwards, we realized that that's not enough. So we have changed the matrix from mean time to restore to max time to restore. So what we are saying is, what is the maximum time we are taking, and we will cut that particular time down. So the point is that these are small nuances and small changes that you can bring in the already established matrices that you have for the customer measurement. So 2 points I just said: walk the talk, commit whatever you deliver, and B, what are the changes you are doing at your organization in the back end to ensure that you remain committed and focused to whatever you have promised.
All right, I think we are almost top of our. I just want to quickly go around the virtual room and get final thoughts from our panelists. We'll start with Rana. Just final thoughts, and then we'll go around the room and we'll conclude.
No final words, Karthik. Thank you so much for inviting for this particularly wonderful session. Thank you for all the panelists. I think I've learned a lot. Had been taking down some notes as we spoke, right? I think somebody just mentioned in the comments, I believe it can be true, maybe sometime down the line, that sales team reporting into CX team, a byproduct of CX team. I see that happening, if not in terms of structure, but in terms of how people would evolve. Like Vineet said, right? Before it would be just 4 folks talking or bitching about a company. Now there are like 4,000 folks talking about a bad experience, right? So customer service would continue to evolve in terms of importance within organizations. That's my firm belief. And it should, because ultimately that's what we would also expect as customers of different products and services, right? So that's all. Thank you so much for having me here, Karthik. Thanks to the ET Money Group as well.
Thank you, Rana. And we work with Rana and team, and I can tell you they are super customer obsessed. They keep us on our toes, And I think it's just wonderful to work with Rana and his team. Thanks, Rana. Shruti, your final thoughts? Anything that you want to share?
Karthik, I would just like to conclude. I'm sure we've had a very, very healthy discussion. I guess I would only like to conclude by saying that instead of having just a customer service group in your team and calling it a customer service group, make them like a customer engagement group. Make it more like a customer engagement model versus like a customer service model which we traditionally had. While most of us talked about connecting and contacting your users frequently, etc., I think try and make it like a more proactive approach versus a reactive one. And therefore, in that process, you'll be able to connect with not just your detractors but also your promoters. So I guess that's what is kind of needed. And all the best to everyone else.
Absolutely. Very, very valid, Shruti. Very valid points. Vineet?
So, Karthik, look, not much, but all I'm going to say is all of this can be brought to life. Otherwise, it's going to remain on paper if the leaders of the organization believe in it and they actually practice it. CS, CE, CX, it is at the heart of making an organization successful. I think all of us as leaders, we need to believe in it and we need to walk the talk, like Jared said. But thank you so much. Thanks, E.T. Mani and Karthik. Thanks for having me. It's been.
Thank you, Vineet. Our pleasure.
To the panel.
Absolutely resonates. Thank you so much. Jagmohan, your final views.
Great to have everybody on this panel. I mean, I would conclude in saying that I think CX, CS, they are words, but in case we really want to excel in the work which we are doing, and really want to serve the customers, particularly like in our case, we are into very, very important business of saving lives, and our brand purpose is also life wins. So we have to ensure that we continuously get the feedback from our customers, and that is not that after 1 month, but maybe yesterday we should get it. And that is that can only happen if we personalize the things and we use the digital medium. For example, we are just trying to install the NPS system here, which is a proactive system, not the reactive system. So that is something which we are trying to do it at every touch point which we have with our key opinion leaders or KBNs. We are able to create a positive touch point, and we are able to have a positive NPS score for those customers. So it's important that we create positivity in each of the touch points. Thank you very much, ET, and thank you, Fretworks, for having me here.
Thank you, and very, very well articulated. Thank you for taking the time out, Jagmohan. And last but not the least, Jalaj, your final thoughts.
Coming from automobile, I'll say sales and service are like your right and the left tire of the vehicle. So both are important. Having said that, I will say sales opens the door for the organization, and service or the customer experience ensure that the door always remains open.
All right. Thank you all. Thanks a lot for taking the time out and sharing your views. I really learned a lot. Thank you for all the insights. I'll hand it back to Baisakshi from ET. Take us home.
Thank you, Mr. Rajaram, for moderating the session. And with that, we come to the end of today's webinar. It was indeed a robust session, rich in knowledge and thoughts on our current digital reality. I hope you all find this event insightful and engaging as much as we enjoyed putting it all together. Thank you once again, panelists, for being with us today. We definitely got to learn a lot from the perspective shared by you. And before we wrap up, I want to sincerely wish all our audiences safety and the best of health. These are testing times, and this calls for a very conjoined efforts as a society towards the battle against the coronavirus and all its impact. That is how, after all, we can step into a more positive and brighter tomorrow. Stay safe, take precautions, and follow all available COVID-related guidelines. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.